Students, we already have discussed about working of a junction diode in forward bias and as well as reverse bias. And whenever the junction diode is connected in forward bias, it is plus to minus. In forward bias, it is said to be, for an ideal diode, it is said to be a wire. And this is switch on condition. If the junction diode is connected in reverse bias, this is N type and this is P type. It is connected to positive negative. We say that it is reverse bias, and this acts as switch off condition. So junction diode will not allow current to flow through that particular circuit. Using this forward bias and reverse bias conclusions, we will solve this problem. Two junction diodes, one of germanium and the other one is a silicon. Remember that germanium has potential barrier width of 0.3 volt, and whereas silicon, it has a barrier width of 0.7 volt. And energy required or energy band gap for germanium will be equal to, or no need of this energy band gap, whenever it is required, I'll tell you. So silicon and germanium, this is the minimum amount of potential difference required for conduction. For germanium, it is 0.3 volt. Knee potential is 0.3 volt. Applied potential should be greater than 0.3. Then only it conducts. For silicon, applied potential should be greater than 0.7. Then only it will be taking place in conduction. Now, two junction diodes, one of germanium and the other silicon, are connected as shown in this figure to a battery of 12 volt and a load of 10 kilo ohm resistance. The germanium diode conducts at 0.3 volt and the silicon conducts at 0.7 volt. When current flows in the circuit, the potential at the terminal Y will be dash. You are supposed to find out potential at the terminal Y. So you should find out potential at the terminal Y. Actually, this is terminal Y. Now you should find out potential at this terminal Y when the junction diodes, two junction diodes are being connected in forward bias. So look here, this junction diode is in forward bias. This junction diode is also in forward bias. Because this is positive, positive is connected to P type and this negative is connected to N type. Similarly, silicon positive type, P type is connected to positive, N type is connected in negative. Remember that here both silicon and germanium are connected in parallel. Germanium and silicon are in parallel to same potential battery, which is of 12 volt, right? As these two are connected in parallel, remember that the germanium, the minimum voltage required for the germanium for conduction is 0.3 volt. So voltage required for germanium for conduction is 0.3 volt, which is less than voltage for silicon, which is 0.7 volt. Therefore, if the applied voltage, if we applied is greater than 0.3 volt, germanium act as wire and no current flow through silicon. No current will be flowing through silicon because this becomes short circuit. So at 0.3, the germanium will act as a conductor and it is switched on. Therefore, 12 voltage is greater than 0.3 volt. So first one will be undergoing conduction and the silicon will be undergoing conduction at 0.7 volt. But however, at 0.3 as germanium is conducted, it is simply conducted at 0.3 volt. Now I want to find out potential at this position Y. I'll be just using Kirchhoff voltage law here. Now this is germanium. The voltage which is being dropped across this germanium is 0.3. So therefore, potential at Y. Vy is equal to total voltage provided is 12 volt minus what is the voltage dropped across this germanium? 0.3 volt, which is dropped across the germanium. Silicon will not work here because when the germanium is conducted, it becomes short circuited. As a result, the net voltage at position Y will be equal to 11.7 volt. This is answer for this problem. Students, we have an electrical circuit, electronic circuit where 30 voltage is provided. And you have a junction diode, and this junction diode should be connected like it is connected in forward bias. Check it out. This is positive plus 30. As a result, here towards this point A, like as it is plus 30, current will be flowing in the circuit like this. And that current will be entering into this junction diode and as well as this 10 kilo ohm, because 10 kilo ohm and 15 kilo ohm both are connected in parallel. Now some current passing through this junction diode, it is from P type to N type. Therefore, this junction diode which is connected in forward bias act as a switch. Now junction diode in the circuit is in forward bias. It acts as switch on. Therefore, it is identical to a wire. Simply it is replaced with a wire. Now, when you are replacing this with a wire, electrical circuit will be like this. This is 30 volt and there is a resistor here and there is a resistor here. There is a resistor here and this is the circuit. It is 15 kilo ohm and this is 10 kilo ohm. You are just replacing this junction diode which is connected in forward bias as a wire, and this is 5 kilo ohm. 15 kilo ohm and 10 kilo ohm both are connected in parallel. I want to now find out voltage in between these two. So in order to find out voltage in between these two, point A and point B, I should find out net current in the circuit. So net current is equal to V divided by R equivalent. I want to find out equivalent resistance in order to find out net current in the circuit. Equivalent resistance is that 10 kilo ohm and 15 kilo ohm, these two are connected in parallel. As these two are connected in parallel, R equivalent can be written as 10 into 15 divided by 25 kilo ohm. This gives you 5 3s 15, 5 5s 25, 5 2s 10, 3 into 2, which is equal to 6 kilo ohm. Now 6 kilo ohm and 5 kilo ohm both are connected in series. Therefore, R equivalent will be equal to 5 kilo ohm plus 6 kilo ohm. R equivalent will be equal to 11 kilo ohm. R equivalent is 11 kilo ohm. I can find out net current in the circuit. I net is equal to 30 volt divided by equivalent resistance is 11 kilo ohm. And 30 by 11, this is nearly equal to 2.72 milliampere. Net current in the circuit is 2.72 milliampere. Now if you come to the circuit, you are providing 30 voltage here and that 30 voltage is dropped across this 5 kilo ohm and it is dropped across, remaining is dropped across this AB. It is A and this is B. And this is 6 kilo ohm. We have already calculated. Total voltage 30 is being dropped across this V1 and it is dropped across this V2. V1 can be written as current in the circuit, current in this 5 kilo ohm into its resistance R. So V1 can be written as I, current in this is 2.72 milliampere and the resistance is 5 kilo ohm. Kilo and milli gets cancelled. V1 is equal to 2.72 into 5 volt. So 2.72 into 5, this gives you V1. And from here, V2 can be simply written as 30 volt minus, this becomes 5 2s 10, 5 7s 35 plus 1 36, 5 2s 10 plus 3, 13.60 volt. Voltage dropped across 5 kilo ohm is 13.60. Voltage dropped across this 6 kilo ohm. In order to find out this, just from 30 you will substitute, you will subtract 13.60 volt. So V2 is approximately equal to 16.4 volt. This is VAB. Or directly you can write VAB is equal to I into 6 kilo ohm. I already we know it is 2.72 milliampere. 2.72 multiplied with 6 gives you net voltage, which is equal to 16.4 volt. This is how you can find out voltage in the path AB. So see, we are connecting a voltage of 24 to this point, and this 24 voltage is connected to germanium and as well as silicon. Silicon operating voltage is 0.7 volt. Germanium operating voltage is 0.3 volt. That means out of this 24 volt, 0.3 voltage is dropped across this germanium and then it acts as wire. Germanium, after conducting immediately at a 0.4 voltage, like if the applied voltage is greater than 0.4, then germanium acts as wire. If the germanium is acting as a wire, it just behaves like a conductor, so it is short circuited. And the net voltage VA at this position can be simply written as 24 volt minus 0.3 volt minus VA is equal to 0. Just by using Kirchhoff voltage law, I can write 24 volt minus 0.3 volt minus VA is equal to 0. This is 24 minus 0.3 is equal to VA. This gives you 24 minus 0.3, which is 23.7 volt is equal to VA. As operating voltage of germanium is less than silicon, it is shorted at 0.4 voltage, 0.4 volt. Therefore, no current flow through silicon diode. No current will be flowing through silicon diode. Only germanium will act as a wire, switch on. As a result, total current will be flowing through germanium only. This will be useless. Yeah. Considering the circuit and data given in the diagram, calculate currents flowing through these diodes. You want to find out current in the circuit. For that, what I do, let me consider there is some current entering over here because you are connecting one voltage here. Current will be always flowing from positive terminal to negative terminal. I consider that current as I. And that current will be entering into first diode. I consider it as I1, and then remaining current enter into second diode. It is I2. There is some forward resistance for diode D1 and D2. It is 20 ohm. Because the two diodes which are provided here, they are not ideal. They have some forward resistance. As there is some forward resistance, this diode acts as a resistor in the circuit. Therefore, I can simply redraw the circuit like this. I'm just redrawing the circuit in this way. Diode is replaced with a wire because it is having a forward resistance of 20 ohm, and this also have forward resistance of 20 ohm, and this have a resistance of 100 ohm. You are providing a voltage V, and as 20 ohm, 20 ohm, these are two equal values. the total current which is entering into this 100 ohm, that current get divided into half part enter into diode D2, that is I by 2, and half part enter into this diode which is 20 ohm. So I want to now calculate net current in the circuit. In order to find out net current in the circuit, 20 ohm both are connected in parallel. So therefore, as 20 ohm resistors are connected in parallel, their equivalent resistance is 10 ohm. And now total net resistance in the circuit will be 100 ohm plus 10 ohm, which is equal to 110 ohm. That is net resistance in the circuit. I want to now find out net current in the circuit. Net current will be equal to V divided by R. V is equal to 1 volt divided by the total resistance in the circuit, which is equal to 110, and this is ampere, 110 ohm. That gives you net current in the circuit. I want to find out I1, which is equal to I divided by 2, that is 1 divided by 220 ampere. Similarly, I2 is also equal to I by 2, that is 1 by 220 ampere. So in both the diodes, current will be equally divided because their resistance are equal. If their resistance are different, then in such case you cannot take it as half current entering into first one and half current entering into second one. You need to take their values R1 and R2 separately. You should calculate I1 and I2. I1 I2 division depends upon the resistance of those diodes, and these two diodes are not ideal now. They have some resistance. That's the reason why we are replacing these diodes with resistors. If diodes are being given as ideal, they will not offer any resistance. Simply, they will be acting as a wire. You will just replace diode with your wire. Yeah. Students, in the previous problems, we have considered an electronic circuit, which is the combination of resistors and diodes. But in this circuit, this electrical circuit is the combination of capacitors and diodes. We have two capacitors and two diodes. In the circuit shown, the potential drop across each capacitor is dash. You want to find out voltage dropped across each capacitor. Now, let me take this voltage which is dropped. I consider it as V1, and this voltage which is dropped, I consider it as V2. Okay. And what is mentioned to you in the problem? It is mentioned that these two diodes are ideal diodes. As they are ideal diodes, what we need to do? Just replace these diodes with the wires. As diodes are ideal, we replace them with wires in the circuit. So if you replace those, you will be getting a resultant circuit like this. This is battery. The circuit looks like this. Oh, I'm sorry. Circuit looks like this. See, diode D1, diode D2. D2 is PN. This is in forward bias. The current comes over here will be divided into two parts, and one part enter into this. I name it as I1. Another part enter into this I2. This is N type and this is P type. This diode D1 is in reverse bias. So as the diode D1 is in reverse bias, what you need to do, diode does not conduct in reverse bias. So as D1 is in reverse bias, it is switch off. It acts as switch off circuit. So as it is switched off, you will not place that diode in the circuit. And what is left over here? C1, which is 4 microfarad, and a C2, this is 8 microfarad. These are the capacitors given, and it is 24 volt. You want to now find out potential drop across each capacitor. In order to find out potential drop across each capacitor, these two capacitors are connected in series. So C1 and C2 are in series. So as C1 and C2 are in series, we can write voltage dropped across this C1 is V1. V1 can be simply written as C2 divided by C1 plus C2 into V, and V2 is equal to C1 divided by C1 plus C2 into V. C2 is equal to 8 microfarad. Because these are connected in series, their reciprocal is being taken here. So C2 is 8 microfarad and C1 plus C2 is 12 microfarad into net voltage is 24 volt. And this is 12 to 24, 8 to 16. This is 16 volt. Likewise, V2 can be written as 4 microfarad divided by 12 microfarad into 24 volt. This 12 to 24, 4 to 8. 8 volt is V2. Voltage dropped across this first capacitor V1 is 16 volt. Voltage dropped across the second capacitor is 8 volt. V1 is equal to 16 volt. V2 is equal to 8 volt, and that should be equal to total voltage V, which is 24 volt. Net voltage supplied will be equal to net voltage dropped across the two capacitors. A potential barrier of 0.50 volt exists across a PN junction diode. So barrier potential is given, which is equal to 0.50 volt. If the depletion region is 5 into 10 power minus 7 meter wide, so that means length of the depletion region is equal to 5.0 into 10 power minus 7 meter wide. What is the intensity of the electric field in this region? So you have a junction diode. Let me consider this is the junction diode, and you have a potential barrier in between these two. Barrier potential is being given. This is 0.50 volt, and the length is given as 5.0 into 10 power minus 7. That data is being given to you. And let me take this is P type, and let me take this is N type. Now I want to find out intensity of the electric field. In order to find out intensity of the electric field, the potential barrier width is given to you. We have relation between electric field and electric potential. V is equal to E dot D, which you will learn in electrostatics. I want to now find out electric field. E will be equal to V divided by D. Barrier potential is given as 0.5 volt divided by distance is 5 into 10 power minus 7 meter. This gives you electric field E. If you calculate this, you will be getting 1.0 into 10 power 6 volt, because denominator it is 10 power minus 7. This goes to numerator, it becomes 10 power 7, and 5 0.1 into 10 power minus 7, that can be written as 1 into 10 power 6 volt per meter. This is the electric field across the depletion region. That's number 1. And second question what you are asked is, an electron with a speed of 5 into 10 power 5 meter per second approaches the PN junction from N side. With what speed will it enter the P side? So an electron which is entering into P region. It enter into this P region. Let me consider it has velocity v1 and it crosses the barrier and it enter into P region, and this P region has velocity v2. And velocity v1 in the problem is given. v1 is equal to 5.0 into 10 power 5 meter per second. That is the velocity of the electron which is approaching towards this region. So in order to cross that barrier, the kinetic energy of the electron should be greater than the energy band gap of the depletion region. Then only it can enter into p type. Okay, so therefore total energy of electron in n type should be equal to energy required to cross this band gap plus total energy in p type. Okay, as we are dealing with only electron, potential energy of the electron with respect to this can be taken as 0. Only we are considering kinetic energy of the electron, so therefore I can write half mass of the electron into velocity of the electron whole square. This is in n type, should be equal to, here energy band gap of the junction diode, energy band gap can be written as E into V, which is barrier potential, plus energy in the p type should be written as half into mass of the electron into v2 square. Now I want to find out with what speed will it enter the p side. You want to find out with what speed it enter the p side. That means you should calculate v2. Therefore half me v1 square minus E into Vb divided by half into me is equal to v2 square. Just substitute all the values here. M is mass of the electron, you can substitute over there. E is charge of the electron. Vb is barrier potential, which is mentioned in the problem. You can substitute all the data which is given in the problem, so that you will be getting the final velocity of the electron when it enter into p type. So it is half into mass of the electron is 9.1 into 10 power minus 27 kg. Sorry, minus 31 kg mass of the electron, and v1 velocity is given as 5 into 10 power 5 half mv square minus charge of the electron is 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb into barrier potential is given as 0.5 volt is equal to okay, this total divided by half into 9.1 into 10 power minus 31. This is equal to v2 square. So calculating this total, you will be getting value of velocity v2, which is nearly 2.7 into 10 power 5 meter per second. This is the value of electron when it enter into p type.